it's your furry professor, Kyra. And we're back talking about some topics about Anthrocon. So I had talked about, giving fursuiters room. And there was a specific bullet point that I had circled in my little iPad over here because I wanted to make this its own video because I feel like it is extremely important to talk about. And that is this. In the aspect of giving fursuiters room, there is one thing you should never, ever do at a convention, at any sort of public suiting event, anything. And that is this. Never get between a handler and their suitor. And what do I mean by that? I have talked a lot about handlers and their importance for the safety of the fursuiter. They stand within a certain closeness to a fursuiter for their safety. They are there for a reason. At Anthrocon, for whatever reason, when especially I was in a Kyra, people always try to get between me and my handler. I don't know the reason. I have no idea. And something my handler had talked to me about was probably because you are a female suit and people want to graze on you, touch on you, whatever, because there's someone blocking them from doing that. And if that's the case, let's have a serious conversation for a second. Don't fucking do that. Because guess what's going to happen if I'm walking through a con and I don't know my handler's not behind me and somebody grabs my ass or touches me inappropriately? I'm going to take my fucking paws off and I'm going to probably beat the shit out of you. Just because I am in fursuit does not give you the consent to touch me in any way, especially in an inappropriate manner. Zero reason. I don't know why, and this has never happened at a con before. Now, this is my first female suit, and I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, this suit in particular very much had people trying to separate me from my handler. And it was always like right behind me. I don't like that because I have talked about like me being a mascot and like I stand behind for a reason because of things like that. There should be absolutely no reason that when you clearly see somebody who is within a foot or two behind, beside, whatever of a fursuiter, that you are getting between that. No reason for that. Like, it was to the point where my handler was almost practically shoved out of the way. Never touch a handler. Also, I should mention that. You should not be putting your hands on a fursuiter's handler. They're there to make sure they're safe. Just because, especially at a convention, just because fursuiters are there does not mean that they're just free to touch on. In any case, the handler is there to prevent that because for whatever reason, some people think that it's a free-for-all when they go to these cons. It's not, by the way. And that was like a big issue. Like, I circled this in my little list because it was so predominantly an issue at this particular con that it was actually a little bit terrifying. I've been to multiple cons where I never had an issue where people were getting between me and my handler, but for whatever reason, anytime I had a Kyra, it was always somebody trying to get between me and them. That's terrifying. And honestly, for someone like me, I don't know what you're doing. And I shouldn't have to ask because you shouldn't even be there. So we should not be doing that. And that's why I'm making this its own video, because it was honestly a very terrifying experience. Like, why are you insisting on pushing a person who is very close behind me, who is very clearly with me because either they're talking to me or we're interacting or whatever, and you like are trying to get in between? Don't fucking do that. There's no reason to fucking do that. So that had to be its own video because you should never be doing that. I never even thought of that in any video I have ever made with handler stuff. I've always talked about the importance of handlers. The fact that you are shoving the individual who is keeping this fursuiter safe out of the way for whatever your reasoning is, no. Do not do that. Never do that. They're there to keep them safe. Fursuiters are not just exclusively at cons for you to have free touch on them or just like be on them. I don't know. I don't know what the intent was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I should feel safe at a con regardless, but I'm not gonna lie. When this kept happening, I did not feel safe. Like, my handler was actually like practically like around me the rest of the con because people kept doing it. I should feel safe at a con. I should not feel unsafe because either I'm a female suit, I am a female, which when I'm in suit, I very much come off feminine. And if that's the intention, that's a whole other conversation for a whole other video. Let's make sure we're not going down that road. Fursuiters need to feel safe. Do not get between them and their handler. And that's that. Okay? All right. I'm your furry professor. If you ever have any questions about any of this stuff that I talk about, leave it down in the comments and I will answer it the best I can. Okay? I didn't expect this topic to get me so heated, but like, it made me heated. Very heated. It should not be happening. Okay? Our safety is important. Your need to touch fursuiters does not come above the safety of a fursuiter. Fursuiting, fursuits, does not mean consent.